Not only have I completed the entire Demon Slayer manga series, but even way before I completed the manga, this is a topic that I've been wanting to go over for such a long time. Demon Slayer has two characters that have gave me a mixture of emotions, such as heartbreak and even inspiration, and in general, just absolutely carried me to want to see how the rest of the story ends. And while I do believe that these two characters are respected in not just the Demon Slayer fanbase, but really the anime fanbase as a whole, I suppose this video is to just help boost the recognition that they deserve, and or maybe if you don't like these two characters, this video could possibly change your mind. I am thrilled to go over two characters and even a little bit of their love story between Tanjiro Kamado and Kanao Tsuyuri. The main reason I wanted to go over this topic is because I literally just finished the entire Demon Slayer manga series about a week ago or so as I record this. So for the most part, there's way too many things I want to get off my chest about the series. But while I overall did have fun with the series, it wasn't perfect. There were some things that were hard to understand or didn't make sense to me at all. Going over the pros and cons of the series as a whole is for a different time. What I want to talk about badly is how there were two characters that just totally carried me to the end and gave me a mixture of smiles and joy to also heartbreak and even anxiety. This pointless build-up, because the thumbnail and title gives it away, tells you that those two characters would be Tanjiro Kamado and Kanao Tsuyuri. Now, before we begin, I do have to mention that this video doesn't only focus on the love story between Tanjiro and Kanao, it also focuses heavily on each character individually and what I found inspiring and fun to watch about their personalities and whatnot. Just like I stated in one of my Attack on Titan video essays not long ago, I did state that I am very new to anime, and Demon Slayer is actually my first ever manga series I ever read. So I won't go as far as to say Tanjiro and Kanao will go down as one of the best anime characters to ever exist for me, cause it's too early. There's still a long way to go for me with manga and anime series, but I'll at least say this. I wouldn't be shocked if down the road, these two still hold a special place in my heart for me. They both just have a touchy story and inspiring personalities, and the love story I think is kinda slept on by others. I'll start with Tanjiro, but here's the thing. We could either be here for 2 hours or so, going over all the things that I love about him, or, for time's sake, we could briefly bullet point what I love about him. I think we'll do the second option, but I am warning you. This video definitely, to me, isn't enough praise for him. I truly believe he's just in a tier of his own for all the things I enjoyed about him. In fact, I never really had a moment in a video essay before where I am interested if you guys would like me to make a certain type of video essay, but we'll see where it goes. If you are interested in hearing my full thoughts on Tanjiro Kamado, I would be more than willing to make an entire however long video essay going over him only. Cause seriously, the list just goes on and on with what I saw was great about him. If you'd be down for that, do let me know. With all that being said, that definitely lets you know where this is heading a bit. Where do I start? I guess here's an interesting way to start it. Tanjiro Kamado is one of the few examples I can think of where sometimes character development doesn't always mean change. And what I mean by that is, obviously most fictional and even non-fictional stories consist of almost every character changing for the better. Maybe their personality changed. Kanao honestly comes to mind. She came from a quiet and almost emotionless girl to genuinely becoming a smart and independent strong girl that stands up for herself. More on her later. Tanjiro, however, to me doesn't necessarily change. Sure, he gets physically stronger, and yeah, there's a few moments here and there where Tanjiro expresses strong emotions that maybe you wouldn't have expected from him had you only watched the first episode. You can tell he didn't know what true hatred was before he met Muzan and Akaza. But throughout all the 23 volumes of Demon Slayer and all 4 seasons of the anime so far, can you name a time where Tanjiro quit being that kind, pure-hearted boy that's determined to finish his goals, yet also love and respect others? No, he never stops. His personality from the very first episode barely changes throughout the entirety of the story. In the first few moments of the series, Tanjiro is a happy, smiling, kind, energetic, and hardworking boy that loves others. But not long after we see who he was in the beginning, his family got murdered in a very brutal way, and here he is trying to save his demonic sister, literally. During battle, he breaks several ribs and bones, fingers. He also passes out and partially dies. Throughout the story, he loses many other loved comrades and faces countless challenges. Well, we described who Tanjiro was before all of that went down. Now answer this question. What did Tanjiro act like during and after those Muzan events, I guess? You probably said, yeah, sure, I guess he feels more determination and hatred than he used to, but he was still smiling and kind and energetic and hardworking. Like, literally, he stays the exact same throughout the story. But here's the cool thing. I don't think that's bad writing. I think that's unique character development. Instead of focusing on changing his personality, the story focuses on embracing his personality. Tanjiro more just leads by example for all of the characters in the show, and also for us watching or reading the series. For the characters in the show, it's unreal to think of the amount of characters that would have never changed for the better had they never met Tanjiro. Giyu had 2 instances where Tanjiro made him think differently. One in which he was impressed that Tanjiro wanted to save his demonic sister, yet also respect Giyu enough to not fight him and bring Nezuko back to him. Giyu, in response, sends Tanjiro and Nezuko to Urokodaki for some help. Giyu also shares his sad, yet interesting backstory with Sabito, claiming he feels he's not a true Hashira because he's always having others carry him to victory and watching the ones that save him die. But had Tanjiro never spoke to Giyu about how he should live for Sabito like he wanted him to anyway, well, Giyu and Tanjiro probably wouldn't be close comrades. Another character Tanjiro impacted that was fun to watch for me was with Moichiro. Moichiro's story is also sad as it is. His family died brutally and his mind is clouded with mist, but he's trying to remember who he truly is as a person. When we first see Moichiro in Season 3, honestly he's a jerk, because that's really all he knows who to be at the moment. But if it wasn't for Tanjiro's words of encouragement and valuable life lessons, and even to just look at Tanjiro's eyes that remind Moichiro of his father's eyes, explaining why that detail is important for a different topic, Moichiro wouldn't have been who he was to finish the story. Let's just say that. And many other characters he impacted were fun to watch that I won't explain here, but how he helped out Inosuke, Zenitsu, Genya, even some of the demons, and especially how he impacted Kanao, which is the only one we'll get to later, was a joy to watch. And as for the audience watching or reading the series, I know Tanjiro was an example for me at least. Every second I watched the show, I never got tired of seeing him on screen. Anytime I thought of who my favorite Demon Slayer character was, it was Tanjiro from the very beginning and never changed. Because I think he's who we should all be deep down. Sure, it's easier said than done, but though Tanjiro and all of us live in a cruel world, the burning desire to want to change the world for the better is such a beautiful thing. But never giving up on it is even prettier. Whatever goal you may have, I'm not here to tell you that you should find it easy to smile through the pain and act like all these physical and or emotional wounds are nothing. I'm simply saying, embrace the challenge and who you are. As long as you don't give up on it, then you've made the world a better place in some way, shape, or form. And it's never a bad thing to keep that inner kid in you as well. Being curious about others and wanting to be friends with others, and just taking time out of your day to just do something kind for others. It may seem like a little chore almost to you, but you simply just never know how much it could have affected others. Okay, so I tried to bullet point all I had to praise Tanjiro about and make it short. I tried. That's as short as I could make it. Clearly I'm just that high on him, but let's move on. We aren't here to only talk about Tanjiro, we're also here to go over his loved one, Kanao Tsuyuri. Kanao is an interesting character, so much so that it's really the reason I fell in love with her character. And I mean that. In context, this is a bit of a strange video essay because we praise the main protagonist of a popular anime in which he has an insane amount of screen time and has gained a fair amount of popularity from the anime fanbase as a whole. Whereas Kanao, definitely not as much screen time. And I won't say that she isn't one of the beloved characters of the Demon Slayer series, but I feel she's a tad bit underrated. Like, people love her, but I don't think they see how great of a character she truly is. Though, I will say, my bold prediction is, once the anime animates and releases the final few stages of the show, and it shows Kanao facing Doma and Muzan, saving Demon King Tanjiro and ending up marrying Tanjiro, I bet suddenly she'll get a lot more praise and attention. But that's another reason I'm thrilled to put together this video, because I'm basically giving you a heads up. She's truly one of the best highlights of the whole entire show. It won't surprise me if people start ranking her high on their favorite Demon Slayer characters list, and start to truly appreciate the town kind of ship even. What is it that caught my interest with this character? To me, she's an original character, with crazy character development. Not to rip on the other beloved Demon Slayer characters here, but let's be honest, it's not like we haven't seen a main protagonist like Tanjiro before. A young boy that's kind and cares for others, yet he's determined to finish his goals and make the world a better place. And I love Giyu, but it's not like we haven't seen a character that's quiet and full of regret from his or her past, yet if you get in their way, they'll carve you up. Whereas with Kanao, I have never seen a character quite like her. The moment you see her start to truly take action in the series, it kind of reminds you of something. Wait a minute, that's the same girl from Final Selection. She's still wearing that stoic smile? She isn't speaking at all? Why is she talking about her being ordered to do something? And it just stays that way for a while. She's always smiling, but it doesn't really feel genuine. She never speaks, or at least she says very little. All of her actions don't feel like it's for good intentions, yet they don't feel like it's for bad intentions either. Simply put, she's like a human robot. She wears a plastic stoic smile and only takes action when someone tells her to. But perhaps the most creative aspect about her is that when it does become time for her to make her own decisions, and not when it's an order from someone else, she flips a coin. If it lands on heads, she'll do one thing. If it lands on tails, she'll do another. But we don't truly know that yet. So all I can think is, what in the world is this character? She's a robotic human that flips a coin with a smile. Why is that interesting to me? But finally, we find out about her backstory, and I gotta be honest, immediately I felt emotional. She was a victim of human trafficking. She was sold into slavery, and she simply just lost almost all of her emotions. Because why wouldn't she? If she cried, she'd get beaten up. She can't be happy either. She simply just has to do what the prickheads that commit such actions tell her to do. It all makes sense as to why she only listens to others' orders, and why she doesn't even think that making her own decisions is normal. But thankfully, Shinobu and her sister Kane save her and take her into the Butterfly Mansion. But it's not like things have been fixed right away for poor Kanao. She still acts the same. No emotions and can't make her own decisions. So Kane gives her a coin, telling her that if she sees an opportunity to take actions that are not ordered, maybe by flipping that coin, it'll slowly develop her mindset. And it kinda worked. I guess technically Kanao flipping a coin and thinking of the options she'll take, no matter what the coin lands on, is her own doing and thinking. So at this point in the story, she's already such an interesting character, and also a character in which her story is so touching. I can't help but root for her to grow and develop, and luckily enough for her, one of the bigger scenes in the whole entire show has to do with Kanao opening her eyes and mind to a completely different side of the world. Remember earlier when I talked about Tanjiro impacting other characters for the better, and one of the characters I listed was Kanao that we would talk about later? Here it is. Tanjiro is about to go on a mission, but wants to thank the people that have trained him to get this far. One of those trainers is Kanao, so he runs up to her and thanks her for everything. And she doesn't say anything. She just smiles, and she just flips a coin, and she proceeds to finally speak. Tanjiro's curiosity is so heartwarming to see. Instead of being weirded out, he more just wants to know why Kanao is the way she is, and why she flipped that coin. Even Tanjiro realizes that she isn't quite here. Her mind and heart is just very closed. But he wants to help her out. So then comes in one of the cutest scenes I've ever freaking seen ever. Tanjiro wants to flip Kanao's coin. If the coin lands on heads, Kanao will need to follow her own heart and no longer listen to orders only. And by chance, it lands on heads. And then, being the romance fan that I am, I started grinning when I saw Tanjiro hold her hand and start telling her that her own heart is what drives people, and how Kanao is in total shock that her life changed by far too much just by chance. It also made both Kanao and myself emotional that Tanjiro was excited for her. The curiosity of a kind young boy helped open up the mind and heart of a young girl that simply just needed a lot of help. And we even get a hint that maybe she's in love. And that finally, butterflies don't only exist in her mansion, but also in her stomach. Get it? She hangs out with butterflies, and love gives you butterflies in your stomach. Anyway, so we get it. Her backstory is huge, and her character is interesting, and we feel happy for her when her life starts to change. But holy character development, things start to get so much better for her. The first time she shows up since the events with her and Tanjiro shows the girls at the Butterfly Mansions trying not to go on a mission with Sound Hashira Tengen. Tengen needs to bring in some girls for his mission that's not important to explain here, but simply put, the girls don't want to go. Kanao wants to save them, and at first is stoic, at first relying on a coin to decide if she wants to save her girls. But she remembers a little something. Follow your heart. Wise words from Tanjiro. And I then get so freaking giddy and happy when I see that girl make her own decisions and try to save her girls from Tengen. She doesn't necessarily do so, but point is, hooray! She's developing. To bullet point the rest of her development, it only gets better for her. She came from being afraid to cry to shedding some tears when seeing that Tanjiro wake up from a long coma. She came from waiting on Shinobu's orders to making the decision on her own to train and get better to defeat Muzan and company. And like I said earlier, once the anime releases the final few stages of the show, you'll see her at her absolute peak in the story, and I bet she'll get so much recognition. She not only is just powerful as actual fuck with all of her abilities facing Doma and Muzan, but again, it's just more beautiful character development, man. She's not only physically more powerful than before, but she even becomes smarter, pointing out at upper rank 2 demon Doma that he's full of shit. Doma doesn't actually feel bad for one of his comrades dying, he's just pretending to. But Kanao has been there, done that, when it comes to feeling no emotions. She wants Doma to stop pretending and just be who he truly is, yet also wanting to eliminate him because, well, he's a demon. Kanao vs. Doma is a great fight to watch because one of the things that's driving Kanao to want to take down Doma is because she sees her past self in him. She wants to eliminate that lifeless, emotionless, follow orders from their master type person he is. I really want to go more into it, but for time's sake, that's all I'm going to explain. I think I've done my part in explaining how and why Tanjiro and Kanao were truly amazing characters, and that they impacted me in many ways. But what about the ship? The love story between the two? Well, there's definitely not much to say because we honestly don't really see it much. Admittedly, it's not like I'm about to spill out some factual evidence that this is the best anime ship you've ever seen or anything. It's all really just opinion and preference, and I suppose I like the mystery to these two's love story. So I'll end it off by explaining what it is I like in the ship, while also getting a sudden opportunity to close this video out with an inspirational message to not only better yourself, but to also possibly find and keep a love interest. I'll briefly explain the aesthetics I find wholesome with this ship. They're both blind in one eye, cute, and we see Tanjiro save Kanao's life, both with that coin flip and saving her from Muzan. But how amazing was it to see Kanao save Tanjiro's life after he turned into a demon? So they both helped each other wake up to a different reality, quite literally. And though we never really see them kiss, we know that the manga confirms that they married and that there's descendants of Tanjiro and Kanao in the modern day Japan. Pretty cool to see. Again, we know very little about this ship, but the mystery is fun. It's fun to wonder what Tanjiro and Kanao would do after all is said and done. What happened after the Muzan events went down and whatnot. And because I'm releasing this video essay way before the anime ends, will we get some animated clips of Tanjiro and Kanao sharing their love together that we didn't see in the manga? The mystery and possible build-up to all of that is exciting, but these two characters and their ship can at least tell us this now and for the years to come. Whether you're a man or woman watching this, we probably have all seen someone that just seemed so interesting. Most people probably just brush them off as weird, but you're more just curious as to why they're the way they are. And if your intuition is telling you to start a conversation with them, then it's probably right. Start that conversation with them. Listen to them. Understand them. And when the opportunity comes up to try and open their eyes, mind, and heart to a new world, do so. Don't ever think you don't know how to do that. You're a hardworking individual. You're showing up every day to change the world for the better, and you never give up on your goals. Being kind to others may seem like a small task to you, but it might have been the greatest thing to happen to others. Don't change the kind person you are unless it's for the better. Embrace who you are because you never know where it could take you or others. If I explained all of that and it sounds like it's not you, well, I hope I can be your Tanjiro flipping a coin for you. I don't know what your story is, but frankly, that doesn't matter. If it's not me through this video, it'll possibly be someone or something else that does flip the coin for you. Regardless, there will be a moment in your life that'll open up your heart to new possibilities. I can promise you that. And when that day comes, you'll soar to new heights you never thought you could reach. You'll make decisions on your own you thought you'd never make, and become someone you wouldn't have ever imagined you'd be. It might not seem like it, but there's a better version of you that you can become, and it can be unlocked through one powerful moment. But it can stay unlocked and continue to evolve if you allow yourself to follow your own heart. Regardless of if your life sounds like Tanjiro's or Kanao's, I hope you don't just find improvements for your own life, but I hope that once you do find that special someone, that it truly is blind love. You open each other's heart to a completely different world, and that you make descendants for the future. And with that, we're gonna end it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed listening to me praise two Demon Slayer characters and a little bit of their love story, then maybe you'll enjoy listening to me praise an Attack on Titan character, or a horror villain, a horror video game. Either way, the point of these video essays is to spread more praise and positivity throughout the entire world, not just in the fictional world, but also in the real world. And if you like this type of content, subscribe, and maybe you won't miss a month of video essays. In fact, we're gonna use this coin to decide. If it lands on heads, you gotta subscribe. I'm just kidding, I won't do that to you. Follow your own heart.